into the FCS ranks of college football, where we are now joined by one of the top players in the Missouri Valley Football Conference. We're going to Southern Illinois University, and that's where we can find safety Jeremy Chinn. Jeremy, really appreciate you taking some time this evening. How's everything going?
Everything's going well. I appreciate it.
Well, Jeremy, I want to start the interview off by, obviously there's been a lot of talk about the Salukis, not only in FCS football conversations, but, nationwide as well, as you guys are coming off of a pretty impressive performance at Ole Miss. But before we go there, I want to look back at last season, your sophomore year, Jeremy. You're named second team all-conference in what I would say is hands down the top conference in all of the FCS, and that's the Missouri Valley Football Conference. You racked up 66 tackles, 6 pass breakups, 4 forced fumbles to go with 3 interceptions. Before the season kicked off, Jeremy, you were named to the Preseason AllAmerican team. What were your goals and expectations for the upcoming season? And 2 weeks in, have they changed at all?
No, they haven't changed. One thing we're focusing on this year is just taking one game at a time. So, last week as a team, I think we all kind of looked ahead at the overall season. But this year, we're really taking one game at a time and emphasizing our opponent each week at a time.
Absolutely. Again, we're talking with Jeremy Chinn, Southern Illinois junior safety. And I rattled off your stats from last season as a sophomore. And your freshman year, Jeremy, you're able to reel in 3 interceptions. I mean, do you feel that teams are beginning to take more of a notice of you, the strong safety, now number 2 on the field this season? When teams prepare for the Salukis, specifically on the defensive side of the field, do you believe that you're kind of one of the guys that are highlighted throughout the week of practices for your opponents?
Yeah, I believe that I am. I expect to be. With that being said, though, our defensive coordinator, Coach Paulson, he does a good job of, making sure we have a game plan of, wherever they're going, we'll have an answer for it.
No doubt about it. And, Jeremy, I want to talk about your guys' first game of the season. This year, just a couple weeks ago, it was against Murray State on the road. And you guys went in there and really smacked them in the mouth right away. Going into halftime, you guys had a 28-10 lead, and you guys would then go on to win the game 49-10. Again, on the road, the Salukis defense, you guys were able to force 6 turnovers, 2 of those forced fumbles coming from you. How did it feel to kind of kick off the season with a big victory, or a victory by a wide margin, such as that one a couple weeks ago at Murray State?
Yeah, always getting that first win under your belt, is good to start off the season. Starting 1-0, good momentum rolling, in week 2, week 3, and continue on for the rest of the season. So, one thing we did defensively was we did a really good job getting to the ball. And when you get to the ball, everyone gets to the ball, and you create those opportunities.
And how about last weekend, Jeremy, at Ole Miss, SEC team? I mean, everybody, when they talk about college football, it all starts with the SEC, the best conference in the nation, so that's what they say. Southern Illinois, you guys are on the road, you guys take on Ole Miss, and really wherever FCS teams go, whenever they go up against big-time FBS programs such as the Ole Misses of the world, or Florida State, Alabama, people call those cupcake games. That wasn't the case for you and your squad this past weekend at Ole Miss, Jeremy. It was a shootout, that's for sure. You guys actually led 38-35 at halftime. But the Rebels were able to kind of get things going and pull away with a final 76-41 by the end of the game. Talk about that matchup, though. I mean, you're going up against guys that are looked at as the top recruits in the country. Again, an SEC program. I gotta think you guys had a really big chip on your shoulder, and just viewing your team as a whole, I gotta think that's kind of something that's gonna be with you guys for the entire season, just the way that maybe the national media or people outside of Southern Illinois kind of look at your team. But specifically this past weekend at Ole Miss, I mean, talk about that game, the ups, the downs, and what you guys were able to take away from it as a team.
Yeah, really. I mean, as a team, we just kind of went into that game like we would any other game. We didn't really get that David West Goliath speech. We just prepared for them as we would with any other team. Offense went in there, had a great game plan, and it was a shootout, like you said. Defensively, we had some things we had to work on as a unit. So, playing against them, it was a cool experience playing in a stadium like that and being around, that many people, being able to play in front of that many people. So as far as that was fun and everything. But, going to the game, I don't think anybody believed it would be that type of outcome or be that type of game, other than us, and that's okay with us.
Absolutely. Again, we're chatting with Southern Illinois junior safety, one of the best not only in the Missouri Valley, but in the FCS as a whole. Certainly a name I believe you guys should be on the lookout for, not only this season, but next year when he's a senior. And I think he's a guy that could have some pro teams showing interest in him. Jeremy, just looking at your game, for those who aren't familiar with Saluki football, or specifically your game as a strong safety, I mean, how would you describe yourself as a football player? I mean, I love that not only are you able to smack a ball carrier and force a fumble, but you're able to, your coverage skills are on point as well, and you're able to, make a force in whether it's deflecting passes, breaking up passes, intercepting the ball. I mean, you're kind of a do-it-all strong safety, at least from what I've seen on film. How would you describe your game, and how did you kind of morph into the safety position? When did you start playing that position?
To describe my game, I would say, like you said, I'm kind of versatile. I can come down and make that short tackle. But also, I'm very good in space and covering, the slot receiver, outside receiver, it doesn't matter. But as far as moving into the position, I actually came into college as a corner. So I played corner in high school. And that first summer I was straight and moving over to safety. So I just adapted to that, and learned the playbook and got up there. Yeah.
And Jeremy, when we were talking about the Ole Miss game, I mentioned that you guys are probably, and this is just me, an outsider looking in. If I had to say, I gotta assume there's probably a chip of some sort on your guys' shoulder. Kind of an us against the world mentality there in Carbondale. It feels like you guys don't get a lot of love by the national media that covers FCS, although I will give credit to Brian McLaughlin of Hero Sports. He's been on your guys' bandwagon as well. But I'm sure that's something you, as a player, your coaches couldn't care less about, though. But I got to think you guys are really starting to wake people up, at least those that pay attention to FCS football, and especially with the start to the season that you guys got off to, putting a beating on Murray State, being competitive. And I know that's not what you guys went into Ole Miss to do, is just to be competitive and look good. Ultimately, you guys wanted to come out with the victory. But I gotta think you guys are starting to turn some heads around the country. Really like what Nick Hill has been able to do, help turn that program around there at Southern Illinois. And again, I don't think I'm going out on much of a limb. I'm a fan of what you guys have done on the field, and I think both offensively and defensively, things are looking really good there for the Saluki. So I don't think I'm going out on much of a limb by saying this, but I think you guys are going to be finding your way back to the FCS playoffs this year. Talk about the team that you go up against every day, though. In practice, Monday through Friday, leading up to game day. What's it like to go up against this offense led by quarterback Sam Straub, with guys like running back DJ Davis, and I don't even know where to start at the wide receiver corps. I mean, you guys got Leonard, Lenore, Daryl James. I mean, how does it help you individually and as a defense going up against those guys every day in practice?
Yeah, right. Like you said, I mean, we have a very deep offense, starting with Sam Straub. Then going to DJ Davis and then Ralph Leonard, then we got Landon and Darrell. But, going against that offense is probably one of the best offenses we'll see all season. So playing against them every day in practice, you really can't get a better look. So as far as sharpening my game, going against the best offense that we'll probably see, you can't ask for better practice than that, better preparation than that.
And looking on the other side of the ball, the side of the ball that you play on the defense, you have a new face playing opposite side of you at free safety, Jeremy. And, with Ryan Neal moving on and now getting opportunities in the NFL, sophomore Quay Brown steps into the starting role. He had 2 interceptions week 1 against Murray State, and then last week he led the team with 9 tackles. What's the chemistry like between you two, in the last line of defense, and how would you assess his play 2 games in? I mean, he has some pretty big shoes to fill.
Right. And, I came in the SIU with Quay, so our chemistry has always been there. He's my roommate now, so we've always been close as far as that. And, his first 2 games, obviously, he played well. Like you said, he had 2 fumble recoveries week 1. Week 2 led the team in tackles, so there's always room for improvement. And, I'm always going to stay on him with that, and I expect him to stay on me with my things, and he does. So we're just going to continue to push each other and continue to get stronger by that.
And looking ahead next week, you guys are taking on another Ohio Valley team in Southeast Missouri State. What's kind of been the game plan for that that game thus far? I mean, what are you guys going to have to do in order to prevent going on a losing streak and to go 2-1 to start the season? What are you guys going to have to do in order to come out with a victory against SEMO? And this is going to be the first home game there at Southern Illinois this season. What's it like playing in front of that fan base, and how excited are you guys to play this home game week 3?
We're extremely excited. Last week we had a great showing down in Mississippi. So to be able to come back in Carbondale and be able to play in front of these fans, it'd be really exciting. First home game of the season. New white helmet, so it's going to be a great atmosphere out there. But for SEMO, as far as SEMO, the biggest game plan thing we have is just make them earn their yards. Last week we gave up too many big plays, so, this week make them earn their yards, 1 first down, see the backfield get lined up. And, SEMO hasn't turned the ball over yet this season, so we want to get to the ball and take advantage of the opportunities that we'll have.
Yeah, as you mentioned, they've yet to turn the ball over this season. They're coming off of a win against Dayton, and they even fared pretty well against Arkansas State to start the season. A couple more questions for Jeremy Chinn, the Southern Illinois safety, preseason All-American. Does that really mean anything to you, Jeremy? I mean, I'm sure it's nice to be recognized. Obviously, it doesn't mean anything if you don't do your job on the field, but as I mentioned earlier, I mean, I got to think teams are kind of starting to game plan around you, or at least highlighting you throughout the week of practice for the nation to kind of recognize you, though, and give you this preseason accolade. Does it mean anything to you?
I can't say it doesn't mean anything. It's cool to get recognized, but personally, I'm not where I want to be yet in my game, and as a team, we're not where we want to be at as a team. So, it's just motivation to just keep working. But it's good to see to get recognized a little bit. So it is definitely motivation.
Well, obviously, you're always able to improve both individually and as a team. There's always things to work on. You said you're not where you want to be at, though. Where would you like to improve on exactly?
This season specifically, just finishing plays. First 2 games, I feel like I've done a good job at doing those 2 things. But yeah, just finishing plays, knocking balls out where I can, opportunities, finishing tackles well, and just things like that. In these first 2 games, I've been on top of those things.
Well, and again, you guys got Southeast Missouri State this Saturday, 6 p.m. After that game, after week 3, is when the conference games begin, starting with South Dakota. And I'm going to ramble off the Missouri Valley teams you guys are going to be playing this season. South Dakota, Youngstown State, and you guys host South Dakota. You'll be on the road at Youngstown State, at Illinois State, hosting Indiana State, at Missouri State, hosting Western Illinois, hosting South Dakota State, and to end the season, or hopefully to end the regular season, that is, it'll be at North Dakota State. Certainly one of the more hostile environments out there. Overall, what's it like to play in the Missouri Valley, what I think is hands down the toughest and most challenging conference in the FCS? And, really, I mean, just looking at this schedule, I mean, there's no teams that you can go, oh, this is an automatic win, or oh, we may not have to give it our all this game. Not that, as a football player, I know you can't think that way, but looking at team schedules, there's always a game or two that, or more times than not, that you can go, all right, they'll probably win this game. And this isn't just for Southern Illinois. This is for all the Missouri Valley. You don't really see those type of games that you can automatically say, all right, I'll put money on, Illinois State to win this game, or South Dakota State to win this game. I mean, it's just, you got to take it game by game and week by week. You never really know what's going to happen in the Valley.
Right, and we love it this way. We love it this way. We see the best every week. We see the best in the country every week.
Who's the best player you've played against so far? I mean, is there a player that comes to mind when you think of your first couple of years there at Southern Illinois playing in Missouri Valley Football Conference games?
The best in the conference?
Yeah.
The best player I played against in the conference?
Yeah.
The one guy that stood out is probably Reese Fountain from UNI. He's a good receiver to play against.
Yeah, I had the pleasure of seeing him live at the East-West Shrine game. Had a really big week there. How he didn't get a Senior Bowl invite, I have no idea, or an NFL Combine invite, but went on to get drafted in the 5th round by the Indianapolis Colts. So you cannot go wrong with that. Anyways, Jeremy, really appreciate you taking some time. Congrats on the nice start that you and your team have gotten off to this season. Best of luck this Saturday in the home opener against Southeast Missouri State, and certainly wishing you the best of luck the rest of the season.
I appreciate it, Chris.